Bradley Cooper plays Jewish conductor Leonard Bernstein in his latest movie, Maestro. In addition to starring, it's Cooper's second time directing after A Star is Born. But Cooper's name is trending today for a different reason. Some are upset about the actor's prosthetic nose in the upcoming Netflix film, saying it really wasn't necessary to go that far to depict a Jewish man.
So how long do we have to do this for?
Well, we need to build up a very strong connection.
Bradley Cooper as Leonard Bernstein. We're getting the first look at the Netflix movie Maestro in a new trailer. This is the real-life Leonard Bernstein, the man who inspired the movie. He was an American conductor, composer, pianist, music educator, and author. A prodigy considered to be one of the most influential conductors of his time, and the first American conductor to receive international acclaim.
And no matter how serial or stochastic or otherwise intellectualized music may be, it can always qualify as poetry as long as it is rooted in earth.
The movie Maestro follows Bernstein and his 25-year marriage to Felicia Montalegre. But online, the conversation has turned away from the storyline, with many pointing out Bradley Cooper's prosthetic nose. This feels especially sinister because Bradley Cooper's nose is already the same shape and size, if not slightly larger than Leonard Bernstein's was. One Twitter user wrote. Another tweeting, "This isn't about making a non-Jewish actor look more like Leonard Bernstein. It's about making a non-Jewish actor look more like a Jewish stereotype." Critics saying the larger prosthetic nose reinforces an anti-Semitic stereotype about Jews. Bernstein's children released a statement in regards to the backlash, writing in part, "It happens to be true that Leonard Bernstein had a nice big nose. Bradley chose to use makeup to amplify his resemblance, and we're perfectly fine with that. We're also certain that our dad would have been fine with it as well." The movie premieres at the Venice Film Festival in September. Joining us now to talk more about this hot topic online is Professor of Jewish Studies Anna Shternshis from the University of Toronto. Professor, can you talk about this notion of Jewish nose, what exactly it is, and how it came to be about in the media?
Hi, thanks for having me over. Well, the discussion of who Jews are, is it a religion or is it a race, is as long as Jewish history itself. And perhaps it's not exactly clear in a Canadian or a US context, but in Eastern Europe, Jews were a visible minority, or even in Europe of the 19th century, 18th century. And it has been a long discussion. What does it mean to be a visible minority? And, Nazi scientists have done a lot of research on thinking, well, maybe we can measure the size of a nose of a person to determine if they're Jewish, the shape of their eyes, even the shape of their ears. And this idea that Jews have long noses has been circulating in Europe and even later in North America for quite some time. So the anxiety about the discussion we're going to talk about now is twofold. One is, well, is there such a thing as Jewish race? And is that race identified with a nose? And the second thing is, well, if Jews are visible or invisible to others, and what does it mean? In the 20th century, during the Holocaust, this was a matter of life and death.
Why is it dangerous when these kinds of stereotypes are reinforced in media?
I think what's dangerous is Jews being harassed and picked on or somehow mistreated because they're Jewish. And I don't know if having an actor to put a prosthetic to his nose constitutes as such harassment. I'm not convinced of that. I think that, I haven't seen the movie yet, but I watched the clip and I read up a little bit of the discussion. I don't know what was the the director was thinking exactly about presenting an actor that way. Maybe the idea was to emphasize how people saw a Jewish composer, and maybe even if his actual nose was not so big, because people knew that he was Jewish, in their eyes, that nose got bigger. And maybe that was the directorial decision to put that prosthetic on the actor. I don't know that for sure. I'm not 100% convinced that this decision is an anti-Semitic act. But as a scholar of Jewish studies, honestly, I don't see that as a controversial matter. And, I speak on my behalf. Maybe there will be 10 colleagues of mine who disagree. But I watched that, I read up the discussion a little bit, and I think that's too easy of a topic to get excited about, to get offended about. And in some ways, it takes us away from real issues, of anti-Semitism, swastikas on school, graffitis, and all these issues that Jews experience today. So let's get upset about the Jewish nose in portrayed rather than those real issues.
Thanks so much for your perspective on this, Professor.
Thank you for asking me about that.